Hello everybody, this is Bhante Joe here, and I'm just here at Endagala and thought to record a short Dhamma discussion for the internet, and actually chose a different part of Endagala here. So this is the kind of back part of the stone structure. So I thought that could start with just a little meditation, so maybe could lean forward a little bit and arch the spine and look about 3 feet in front and close our eyes. And can focus in on the breath. Can know when it's coming in and know when it's going out. If one breathes in a long breath, can just know I'm breathing in a long breath. And if one breathes in a short breath, can just know I'm breathing in a short breath. And when breathing in and out from the tip of the nose, can try to make mindfulness as continuous as possible, being aware all the way through the in-breath, as the in-breath turns to the out-breath, all the way through the out-breath, and as the out-breath turns back to the in-breath again. Trying to make mindfulness as continuous as possible. And if the mind wanders off, can just bring it back to the present moment, to the breath. And before we finish meditating, can spread thoughts of goodwill, wishing may all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make the mind infinite, can make it unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond, in every dimension. May all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. Okay, and can open our eyes and do a short reflection, a short Dhamma discussion. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Saṅghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Saṅghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Saṅghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. So, hope that everybody's having a great day wherever it might be. And it's been now is pretty soon the beginning of the rainy weather season in Sri Lanka, which I think lasts about 3 months or so. And today's a very lovely day, actually, kind of nice and sunny and no rain. And so I was asked by Visita from Buddhist Embassy. Had asked him a while ago, or maybe a couple weeks ago now, if he had any questions that might like to see a video about. And he asked kind of, one of the things he asked was he wanted to know how I became a monk, or how I ended up kind of being a Buddhist monk, since it's maybe in kind of the area I'm from in Canada, well, maybe almost every area in Canada, I'm not too sure, but it was kind of an unusual choice at the time. And so for me, actually, I never intended to be I never expected to be a Buddhist monk when I was young, and I don't think anybody would have expected that I would. Also, people would not have expected from me that I would become a Buddhist monk. Actually, from a young age, I wanted to be a businessman and kind of wanted to be an entrepreneur. I thought that would be a neat thing to do. And when I was really young, I wanted to be like an inventor. I thought that would also be neat. So being a priest, it was actually the furthest thing from my mind. Actually, even if the thought came up, I would have thought that it was something that I would never want to do, and just couldn't understand, as a young man, the benefits of that profession. But kind of, it so happened that, when I was in high school, was it high school? Yeah, high school. Well, different times. I started to actually get like a little bit depressed. Well, I got depressed actually. I was living a pretty kind of immoral lifestyle, and kind of that isn't the best thing for happiness. And so I was also at that time looking for a girlfriend, and my mother. I used to get in these kind of like debates with Christians. I used to kind of be a kind of a bit of a debater, and kind of a little fast forward. Actually, after becoming a Buddhist, I've gained much more respect for all religions. The good things that religions teach. So long as religions are teaching good things, have respect for the things they're teaching. But at the time, when I was a young man, that wasn't the case. I basically thought religion. It's probably a view that a lot of people have, that kind of, I basically thought religion was kind of a superstition, and also I thought it was divisive. Basically, I basically had a very negative opinion of religion in general. And especially, I thought that some of the doctrines in Christianity were hard to digest. And so at the time, I was a little bit of a kind of, I don't know, like I said, debater. And so I would kind of go and deliberately poke people to start debates with them about religion. And the thing I would use to poke some people is I would say, I'm a Buddhist. I believe in reincarnation. If people thought there's only one life. It was a lie at the time. Actually, I wasn't a Buddhist and I didn't know anything about Buddhism, but I would say that just to kind of get the ball rolling for a debate. So in any event, when I was in high school, my mother was looking for, or my mother got me this book as a joke, and it was written by somebody who was kind of one of these kind of like, I guess you call it, I don't know how to say, kind of like some of the things you might read in like a Chatelaine magazine or something like this. And the book was called If the Buddha Dated. And if one is a Buddhist, then it's kind of it's a title that one would never use. But in any event, she got me this book, and I'd never planned to read it because it was just a joke. Because I used to debate with people saying I was a Buddhist, and also I was looking for a girlfriend. And so, but I happened to one day have nothing to read in the bathroom, so I took the book in, and there was this one section in the book where it said, now this is the central tenets of Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths. And I remember before reading that, I thought, I'm going to argue with this philosophy, whatever it is, it's a religious philosophy, there's going to be huge gaps in it. But remember reading through it, and the first one, it was actually a very loose translation of the Four Noble Truths. It wasn't like a word-for-word Pali translation. It was very, very loose translation. Kind of, maybe the Four Noble Truths kind of changed quite a bit to fit some, well, I don't know. But anyways, there was enough for me. The first one was that life is suffering. And because I had this kind of unhappiness, it made immediate sense to me. And I think the second one she listed it as, this is not, again, the Pali formation for these Four Noble Truths, but it was good enough for me, was that our sufferings come from attachments. And I think the third one she listed as was something like, the ending of suffering is the ending of our attachments. And that made immediate sense to me. And so actually after reading that, I was converted to Buddhism. And so I left the washroom as a Buddhist. And then gradually over time, I still didn't intend to be a Buddhist monk. I went to business school and really enjoyed that. Really loved kind of business school and loved business. Well, what I was learning. I wasn't a businessman, but really enjoyed what I was learning in school, and still intended to become a businessman. But I would go on these kind of meditation retreats at a Zen temple, and eventually I found that I was getting, and I actually moved into the Zen temple, and then enrolled in their part-time priest program. All this was to kind of generate happiness in my life, and to kind of, I was using Buddhism as a bit of for performance enhancement a bit, like to get better grades and, to have better relationships, trying to use the principles in Buddhism for these things. And it was effective to a certain extent. Had these kind of like these tricks, like before an exam, I would go and meditate for 15 minutes, and I found that my mind would be much more clear during the exam. So it was like a kind of performance enhancing thing. But also I was a Buddhist, so I mean, but I didn't expect. I don't think that I would be, wasn't still was kind of torn, I guess, between business school and Buddhism. But in any event, at a certain point, I remember coming back from one retreat, and I think it was my third year of university, and I realized that kind of instead of Buddhism enhancing my normal life, I was getting more happiness from Buddhism, and my normal life was getting in the way. So I think it was probably at that moment, and also that I'd gone far enough in school that I felt I gained the skills I needed, that I felt like Buddhism was the path for me to go. So the following year, actually, I left school, and I worked for a year to pay off my debt, and then I joined that temple full time. And I was there for about 7 months, and eventually started to realize that Theravada, well, maybe not eventually, I think I maybe always knew that Theravada was right for me, but it just kind of eventually things matured to the point where I wanted to go to a Theravada temple. to a Theravada monastery. But of course, but gained quite a lot from my time at the Zen temple. It's called the Toronto Zen Temple. And by the way, that was where I first started meditating. I actually Googled Buddhism Toronto, and that was the first thing that I guess landed on, and started going to their programs, which was immensely beneficial from high school all the way through university. So then after that I left, and I went to the monastery where I ordained in. Actually it was shortly before I left. I was studying at the Zen temple, and this thought occurred to me, like, why isn't there any more arahants in the world? It's kind of, there's, in the text there's so many arahants. And then after thinking that, the answer that came up was, well, nobody's living like they did in the time of the Buddha. And so that's, they're not the causes aren't in place to get the effects. And then it was my good fortune that soon after that, a number of kind of free distribution books from Longtam Mahabua showed up at the temple, and they had the kind of description of the Thai forest monks in there. And I'd heard about the Thai forest tradition before, but didn't know anything about it. But in any event, reading through these stories, I felt that, wow, these monks are living the way they did at the time of the Buddha, and they're getting all the same results. They're getting the results from their practice that they did in the Buddha's time. So I decided it might be from that, but I was interested in joining the Thai forest tradition. And then again, auspiciously, all these things were kind of, very good for me. Good luck, good timing, good fortune. That not long after that, Ajahn Viradhammo went to teach a one-day retreat in Toronto. And so, although I was still a Mahayanist, I was still living at the temple and had a teacher there, I went to his retreat, and I liked his style. And they were starting a monastery, I think, that year. So it was the following year I left and went to that monastery, which was called Tisarana, and that was the 1 year after they started. So it was basically my good fortune, or it was basically a wonderful circumstance, I guess you'd say, for me that happened. In the way that it did. So that was how I ended up ordaining, and then I stayed there. That's where I ordained as a Buddhist monk. Yeah, so Vasita had actually asked 2 questions, but it's now kind of a bit past 15 minutes, which sometimes aim for 15-20 minutes. So maybe we'll save the second part of his question for another recording. So hope that everybody has a great day wherever it might be, and sending all best wishes till next time.